Hello,
I,
everybody. Welcome back to another episode of VR and all that jazz. I have actually lost track of how many episodes we're at now. But anyway, I am your host, Jasmine.
And Jasmine.
And oh man, can I even say that still? We're live every third Wednesday on YouTube, but today's Thursday. It's just been a little bit crazy lately. But we made it and just in time to chat before Gamescom.
Yeah, we're trying to we're doing the best that we can, but I mean, as if you watched the VR gaming showcase this morning, you probably know why Jazz has been super busy, and then
Yes,
there's me with all the live stuff. But we're still gonna try to bring in awesome ladies when we can.
yeah,
Just
it's
as busy as us.
it's so funny because today our guest is Robin Mulder from 3 Pound Games, and just before this episode, we were all just talking about how it's just been insane. Robin will also be at Gamescom showing their game Grocket. But Robin, maybe you want to introduce yourself, talk about your studio a little bit.
hi, Jasmine. So great to see you guys. And yes, it is crazy out there right now. We are all just killing it in the marketplace and bringing really cool experiences to everyone worldwide. And for 3 Pound Games, we're building incredibly immersive experiences, really heavily focused on mixed reality these days. And we're taking all of the cool cutting edge work that we do on all of these different stacks of development. We've been stuffing it into a cool development kit called Grow Kit Core. And that's when you see 3 Pound XR, we're going to market with that so that other people can do the cool stuff that we do.
Ooh, I love it.
That's awesome. Um, yeah, I guess okay, so usually we talk about what we've been up to lately, so we can do a quick recap of all the stuff that we've been up to lately. Maybe Adam, if you want to talk first, what have you been doing?
Yeah, I recently I joined the MetaQuest creator program, so now
Woo!
I'm in the ranks of other jazz. The jazzes are together, so that's
Once
been
again,
fun. It's nice though because I mentioned this again a little on F Reality podcast as well, but it's very encouraging me to keep making content again or try to find time to make content. Like
where?
it's hard and it's not as what it used to be, and I sometimes might be slow on all of the new releases or updates or announcements or whatever, but I try. So that's been super exciting. I also got the Vive XR Elite and the Ultimate trackers to try out.
Oh, cool.
So I don't know if I'll have time to really get into it before Gamescom, but we'll see if I can at least get them fully set up. I don't know. No promises.
Yeah, I feel you. I also have so much hardware that I need to try, and I just have not had the time to. Well, let's see. What have I been up to? Was that all the stuff
Where
you've
to
been up
start?
to?
Yeah, pretty much. It's go for it.
Well, okay, let's see. Flat2VR Studios got into A16Z speed run, which is this um,
Yeah.
yeah, which is just like a startup accelerator, and that's why I'm in LA right now. I'm actually using Eric's laptop for this podcast. Eric from Q2C VR Gamer, and they're gonna have his podcast on the same computer, um, right after me. Anyway, so we've been here, and it's just been so much in that program. We'll talk about it a little bit more later after our interview. And then obviously the VR games showcase that has been insane. We've been preparing for these games that we've been working on for so long. Those trailers, I can't even. I mean, I'll get into those stories later, but all of that stuff. And we're also going to be at Gamescom. All three of us, lovely ladies, are going to be at Gamescom for separate reasons.
Yeah.
But preparing for Gamescom. I've never even been to Germany, so this is gonna be a first for me. It'll be exciting.
Same.
Yeah, and I think that's about it. Well,
What about
Robin,
you, Robin?
you said you've been through the ringer lately. Like, what? How's
I
your?
mean, I've seen you, Jasmine, so many times this past year. So we're kind of running the same circuit in a lot of ways. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's 2024. Last year, I was super jazzed up about 2024 because it's the year of the dragon. And that's, we have
Wow.
Space Dragon. And we're like, this is going to be our year. And it is. It absolutely has been our year. there's just been so much going on. We've had more releases for Rocket for the seasonal releases. Those have all gone really well. We spun up 2 DLCs are coming up in the fall. So we're working on those right now. One
Cool.
with the Children's Cancer Research Fund. That's also in partnership with Big Dreams Tour. And all the proceeds for this DLC, which, Meta calls them add-ons, it's very confusing over there. So you go to the store page and you go down, it says add-on. That's where you find this stuff. So that'll be a Blast Cancer. So it's a reskin of a Grocket level where the kids got together and the kids designed out what does the cancer cell look like? What is the red blood cell? And they're like the red blood cell, super cute. So he actually made the logo. Good for him.
You
The
reskin
cancer
the
cell,
game
cool. Sorry?
with cells? You reskin the game with cells?
Yeah.
That's
Oh, that's
so
so
cool.
cool.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
They're
I
so
love
cute. They're
that.
so cute. And the kids
Oh
voice
man,
the characters too. So like
that is so
you shoot the
sweet.
white blood cell and he's like, Cowabunga!
Oh my gosh.
I love it.
Is it
So
like
yeah, it's been just a cool partnership. So I'll be promoting that very heavily at Gamescom, and at AWE, that was just crazy. We put together a 20 by 20 booth to showcase Rocket, but in the latest and greatest way possible, co-location arena. So yeah,
wow.
and it was rip the roof off. So when you look up and you're playing the game, first of all, you put on a headset and you're like, oh, wait a minute, everybody's wearing their avatar.
Yeah.
That is super cool. It feels totally different than when you're just standing around playing mixed reality and you're in the headsets, but they don't line up. When they line up, it really brings the presence home. And then when you add in all the audio, and then we added the multidimensional factor of like ships, like going over your head because you're underwater, you're chomping fish, you're underwater. Ships go over your head, and now they're dropping crates, bombs, treasure chests, other things for you to compete and chase around the area because we need to get people moving, right? Because you're not used to running around in a space when you're playing a game in a headset. Because previously we were all like, yeah, don't run, don't run off. Now we're like, yeah, no, go run because you can see
Wait, so
everything's good.
I
Hang
didn't. I,
on. Maybe we should show what it looks like because we're talking about it and it looks so cool. I mean, Grocket looks like it looks so good in mixed reality. And just for anyone that's actually watching the stream, which hopefully is most people.
Hello, anyone?
Yeah.
But yeah,
It
so
looks really cool.
I love it. So I actually played Rocket with my husband, and one of the things that we wish there was that shared spatial anchors. So I'm super excited, like that we'll get to play in the same room together. But we were still playing in the same room together, but because you guys have that really cool, I don't even know how to describe it. Like it's a multiplayer aspect where you can see someone else's room attached to your room because most people don't have more than one headset in a household, which makes sense. But the mini games in this are so cute. Basically, hand tracking, phenomenal. Bunch of mini games, multiplayer extravaganza. Like we had such a fun time with this, and I apologize because I forget the names of all the individual mini games, but the shark hands and the one where you get the kitty claws with the balloons. Those are my favorite.
Oh,
it's so satisfying.
Yeah.
The shark
and that's the thing is we're trying like in that video. So that was a developer focused video of here's a little bit of the behind the scenes, the rotating camera that you saw in there to showcase that was done in Unity, of course, because that's not what you see as a player. What you see as a player is you look in your room and I look across and I see you guys in your rooms. I see your walls.
Wow.
We've evolved a bit since then on a couple of different points to tighten that up. But to use the furniture in the space, and you can see like this is a little old now because back in that day, when we had furniture available to us, we didn't have a lot of options we could do with it. And Meta's just been piling out the updates. So what we can do next year, it's just going to get better from here.
This looks
it's so fun.
I'm
a sucker for mixed reality.
I know, and I didn't know that this had co-location. Like I was, yeah.
Is that
not
out yet?
Though. So that's coming out in November.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's we were showcasing this at AWE. So this is why these posters are here, because we made a big display about this, and it was like fresh, like still coding it. What's that saying? We're still putting the wheels on while the car's running. It was that sort of thing. But it went really well. We just told people like, hey, you might run into some hiccups, that they really didn't. It's pretty simple. You put the headset on and you use your hands and play the game. And that is really good for adoption. And people just get it. They just know what to do. That's where the magic is. And if we can get them there, we can get them to the next step. And before you know it, we can actually get them doing some movement and some crazy stuff in VR. So it's a ramp. We're building a longer ramp.
Love it. Oh, go ahead, Jazz.
I was just gonna say, I just love that, like, making VR as accessible as possible, like mixed reality, so that people don't feel like they're blindfolded all of a sudden in their house. Making it with like hand tracking and hand controls, and it's so like intuitive the way the way that you play it. So I just feel like it's so smart, and I don't know. I keep like with those little shark hands. I'm just like, certainly someone has like made a video with the background music of like Baby Shark, right?
We've thought about that so many times. It's so funny.
Jeez.
I did just do a video in a pool, and it was hard to do it because I couldn't get the ground, because the headset's like, the ground is the water. And I'm like,
how are you touching
the ground down further? Could you figure that out for me? So I what I need to do is I need to get somebody to drain their pool, scan it, and then put the water back in.
Oh yeah,
so
no
if you know
problem.
anybody who's doing that, I'll fly out and we'll take care of that.
Super easy.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to come up with like ridiculous ways that you can use the hands for different things and just play around with it.
Well, especially because it's hand tracking, so you can't like. I know there are games that have done, more gun type things, but you guys have really like, okay, what is something that makes sense that someone would automatically do with their hands if their hands were, cat claws, shark hands? Like you automatically, as a shark hand, you kind of just automatically want to do this, or as cat claws, you kind of want to hit things with it. So it's sort of that just natural, like, oh, I have these hands. This is what I assume I can do with them. And you can, which is just, it makes it really easy. I appreciate that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, that's the goal. Is I just looked at how many times my brother is always the use case I bring up, and he actually doesn't know this until this moment, that he's actually part of my GDC talk from last year, where I talk about those types of players who just don't do video games well. They're like dodging bullets when they're moving their body, and then that makes them not play the game very well. You've seen that happen, right? And I feel that it's the people that are very connected to their bodies. They play sports. That's what they think. They're controlling their body. And those us types are like, oh, no, I'm controlling a little character on the screen. I'm used to that. That's what I do. And this is this in-between state of people like us get it, because we're like, yeah, I can be me, but it's dress up me. That's okay. I can live with that. And people like that are like, oh, I get it. Absolute connection between hand, body. This is what I'm doing. I'm me. I'm still me in this room. So this is the magic zone here. And mixed reality is such an important step to get this big adoption curve that we're all looking for. And the later headsets and that would be really great too. Just have some thin glasses.
I had a question for you earlier, and it was, again, I was like, this is a potentially stupid question. I'm like, it is 3 pound games, right? And not like 3 LB, because I wanted to make sure I got it right. But you mentioned there's actually an interesting story behind why it's called 3 pound games. So I want to go back to that because I'm curious.
Yeah, so it's not the best name for international purposes, because you're like, 3 pound, isn't that kind of cheap? And I'm like, oh, you're from the UK, aren't you? So where it came from was I was watching one of those some science show, right? And at some point they were like stopped, and it went dark, and the neurons were firing up, and it was like the 3 pound universe, and it was a show about the brain. So the brain, the average brain, is 3 pounds, and I'm like,
wow,
yes. Ooh, that's awesome. Cool.
That is really interesting. Yeah. The last guest that we had, their name was after like witches.
Oh yeah, Coven. That's right.
That's amazing.
A bunch of women, because there were a lot of women in the studio. So yeah, that it's always fun.
I need to hook up with them. Are they going to Gamescom?
Yeah, they're
Maybe,
great.
maybe,
I mean, I don't
yeah.
know if
Who
they're going to
knows?
Gamescom, but like, yeah, I meant yes, you definitely need to chat with them. I love like interesting names.
Right.
Yeah, it's hard. You spend a lot of time thinking about it, and then you put it out there, and then you second guess. And you go, oh my God, I put a number in my name. Yeah. Was this the best idea? And then I'm like, should I go talk to 3M about that? Because there's a lot of examples out there, but a lot of those examples are older generation examples before we had databases with lots of problems and internet where you don't really want to say in an Android package thing 3. For example, if you're a developer, you're like, yeah, that's not the best name. So sometimes we are LB games when it comes to certain contexts. But yeah, it's been a fun ride with that, and the names kind of really come together with the gaming and the XR and all the ways that we're trying to move the needle forward by just building cool stuff. We just like building fun, cutting edge things, and this opportunity to have this game and work on this game has opened up all of those opportunities for us, because not only is it great for the user to play the game and have fun with the player, but we get to have fun with it too. We get to like try out a new thing. Oh, Meta dropped this new thing. Let's see what it does. What could we make with this? And just prototyping out these things very quickly and keeping us in context of short mini game helps us go try it out, and then we can get it out there, and then we see if anyone likes it. There's some other games that people don't talk about very much in Rocket that are much harder. One of them is called The Force, and that is you have your hands up and the directions, this is your directional force, right? And you put them together and you're controlling an elemental ball. So you might be dirt or you might be fire or something like that. And there's big balls around that you're trying to base capture. So you're doing this very slowly. It's almost like Tai Chi, and you're controlling the ball around. It's super fun and super satisfying. And with that in front of people, it takes them a while to get it. Like they get the chomp and they get the claws, but this one's a little less intuitive. So the first time they're terrible at it, almost to the point where like, why would I bother? But not there. They're like, all right, let's just try it again. I'll get it. I'll get it. The second time they start to get it, and by the third time they're like, oh, I see what we do here. I got this. And I'm like, yeah, that's the magic. We can get you in 3 times. Now you've built confidence very quickly, and now you're going to eventually say, I know how to do VR. Like, oh yeah, I've done those headsets. I got this. I know what I'm doing.
Does it feel like telekinesis? That's the one where you like move stuff right with your mind, I guess.
Right. Yeah, it is. It's like magical, like, yeah, we need to put that one also in arena. We didn't do that one for the arena treatment just because it was a little harder for people to do. But it would be really fun to have them really far away, like long, like obstacles around. And there's so much more we can do with all of these games and evolve them into harder levels and more interesting, complex situations. And it's just a matter of putting out little pieces and putting more out there. By keeping it all short and simple, we're going to keep publishing. We've already done, I think, 5 updates, like a summer and of course we did a Halloween.
Yeah.
Twilight Echoes is out right now, and Twilight Echoes has reflections of a game, Vault of Stars, that we did a few years ago, where you're a giant golem. And we put that in the game, so that's also going to be in the add-on where it's the co-location one. You can stomp around in your giant golem and you can smash each other up. I kind of wanted to call it Rock'em Sock'em Golem, but I'm pretty sure I would get sued for that.
But the title said.
If I had this as a kid, like co-location with all these mini games and mixed reality, I would have flipped out. It is so cool.
Right.
How big is the team at 3 Pound Games, out of curiosity?
So we have what we've done is we have very small teams working on individual VR projects. So there's 17 of us total, but no project ever has that many people on it. It's like who needs to be on the project, who wants to be on the project. It's a little bit of a lot of grab bag things. So a little bit of production pipeline of like Rocket right now. Cordelia and I have just been working on that because the code's already done, because we have a process, because we don't We don't need somebody else doing anything else there. Now it's focusing on gameplay. How does it feel? Let me get the audio just right. Let me like fine tune the whole somatosensory cortex planting that I'm doing with the audio, because you don't have haptics in hand tracking.
Mhm.
And so you got to trick people. You have to trick their brain. And if you can get it just right, they'll feel that feeling. They'll have that sensation of, I feel I can hear the waveform in my head, and it has an overlapping sense thing that happens in your brain, and you'll almost think that you felt it. And it's this cool feeling when you get it right. It's so I spent a lot of time on that, like the claws coming out, like
It's satisfying. I love it. I could just stare at that all day. Like, yeah, it's me doing that.
right. Makes me want to have longer. Like,
Right.
yeah, if I could get that Wolverine IP, we'd be all set. Like,
That would be
Ooh.
crazy. So it sounds like every time that Meta releases like a new update, you all are basically just like, how do we get this into our game as soon as possible, and just like always do the coolest and newest, shiniest thing into your game.
absolutely,
Okay.
yeah.
That's
It's
a
really,
really
it's
good.
really fun.
That's a nice part about having. I mean, 17 isn't small, but it's not. It's a good size where you can still
Mhm.
iterate and push things quickly, but it's a large enough team where you have a bunch of different ideas that you can still toss around. So, because I'm impressed, I'm like, you guys do push out updates really. That's why I was curious. I'm like, are they like really small where that's how they can get things out so quickly? Or I don't know. I was always curious. I'm like, what goes on behind the
Yeah.
Right. You can
How
see it
long
both
does
ways. I
it
like
take?
that you came to that. That's great.
How long does it take after like an update from Meta comes out that you're all of a sudden like updated, like that your new version update comes out on your game?
I mean, it really depends what it is, because
Mm.
sometimes, you're there too. It's sometimes you get something and you start working in it, and then there's another update that comes out that breaks everything.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
so sometimes that doesn't work out, and other times that there's a problem, and you're like, this feature has to wait. It
Yeah.
needs more time to cook, and that's just the way it is. But that's okay, because we'll have set up the basis for something, and we just put it aside, and we'll come back to it later when it's ready. And
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
it doesn't take long, though. I mean, we've set a really good foundation between the tool set, and Rocket itself actually becomes an extension of the tool set. With the reskinning concept of, this is an already built game, you can reskin it. You could take a Rocket level, you could reskin it for a trade show. So if Coca-Cola wanted to have co-location arena, and we're all a bunch of polar bears, and the Coke cans are what we're chasing after, or something like that, this is where interacting with somebody's brand would actually be fun, because you'd be like,
Mhm.
yes, I'm a polar bear. This is
Yeah,
amazing.
That would be really cool,
ship
actually.
it, ship
Yeah, right. Yeah,
it.
we're on board.
Oh, I
We
got the green
support this.
light.
Yeah. Well,
Really
cool.
quickly though, besides Rocket, I saw that you're also a chairperson for on XR Women, and I actually wanted to get more information on that.
Mhm.
Or, well, besides myself and maybe other women that might be listening, I've heard of XR Women, but I have not been involved. So can you explain a little bit about what it is?
Well, we
What
need
you
we
guys
need to
do,
fix
et cetera?
that.
It's also a me thing because it's just been like busy, but I've always been
Yeah.
wanting to know more information.
Yeah, Exit Women is an international group. We meet every Wednesday for an hour. It's like around lunchtime, 11:45, something like that. And we invite speakers in to come and talk about stuff that they're doing. This has a couple of great facets there. We're getting more information out to the community. We're showcasing cool stuff that women are doing in the community, and we're all learning each other's stories. And if I know everybody's stories, or if I could remember even half of the stuff, when I'm talking to somebody else and they're asking me, "Hey,
Mhm.
do you know anybody that does X, Y, or Z?" I know a woman. Here you go.
Cute. Yeah, that's awesome. Wait,
So
so when are the meetings? Like I've been wanting to be a part of this. I just don't even know where to start, to be honest.
So we have a Slack group. We are active on LinkedIn. We
Hmm.
meet 11:45 on Wednesday. Sometimes we're in Engage. Sometimes we're in Spatial. So we do hop around a couple different metaverse platforms.
Mhm.
Whatever the speaker wants to do. If the speaker has a world that they're showing off, we might go to their world. A couple weeks back, we checked out a rival space. That was a fantastic experience as well. And that's one that you go in. It's kind of like the web ring kind of concept of I want to go and actually use Web3 technologies inside of this and have lots of doors to go check them out. So in itself, it's an experience, but also it can be an experience that takes you to other experiences. And it's just really cool to take people on these adventures as well as give them cool information and make them realize whatever they're doing at home and just working away, they should get out and talk about it. They should get up on stage. Like, what are you waiting for? Let's go. And that's what we're here for, is to shove you out there.
Yeah, I feel like maybe after this episode, we can just comment in all your links to your games and everything y'all are working on, and then also for this XR Women Discord for anyone that wants to be a part of it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
I want to join Slack. Yeah. Not on Slack very often, but I have an account.
Yeah, I think we're all there. I think we're all there with every one of them.
Well, cool. I know you have a lot going on and obviously flying out to Gamescom like ASAP, basically. But is there anything else that's coming out? So you said co-location coming out in November, but anything else on Grocket that we can look forward to, or anything at Gamescom that we can look forward to?
Yeah, at Gamescom, I'm going to bring some cool stuff. I can't show you everything right now because it isn't here yet. However, you should find me because there'll be stickers. There'll be cool things like iron-ons. Do we think that people are going to have irons?
I have one.
Right?
Well,
I think it's going to make some funny. It's going to make some funny conversations of like, so I'm putting together a little package of an envelope with some of the projects that are coming out. And inside of that envelope, there will be some surprises about what's inside. Obviously, there'll be some stickers and that sort of thing. But, like stuff like this guy. Ooh.
Oh, cool.
Right? You put them on your shirt. Boom.
Yeah, our heads. I mean, Asia picked the
so clever. Iron-ons are so clever.
Yeah, I think it's a much cooler way to get it out there because I don't know about you, but I can never. Somebody gives me the shirt and it never fits me, and I know I'll want to wear it and I want to promote your stuff, but you just gave me some sloppy looking shirt I'm never going to wear. So if you gave me this, I could put it on something that fits me.
You can put it on like a tank top. You can put on a jacket. You can like do so many more. Yeah, that's so smart. Actually, I'm gonna go find you at Gamescom for sure. I'm gonna.
You should check it out because I highly recommend this to anybody because it's stuff burning down the earth with. You know how many times I've bought dozens and dozens of shirts and then you end up with all the wrong size and nobody wants it. Why do they do this? Like this is just waste and we're gonna throw them out. Nobody wants this. So yeah, I will have some cool stuff to give out. I'm going to be running around doing a million meetings. I'm sure I'll run into you at least 6 or 7 times. It'll be awesome. And and then for our fall release, we have not officially announced this, but there's going to be, how can I say it? There'll be a lot more purring and scratching involved.
Ooh.
Okay.
That could go 2 ways.
Yeah, I mean,
but I think I know what you mean.
That's a whole nother industry I could sell.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Lots coming online, and we're just going to keep pushing everything out there and see what we can do with this property. And we have big plans for the future of what this could become ultimately, in full evolution. Another 6 months, a year, it's going to get real interesting real fast.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So where can we find you besides the, Grocket 3 Pound Games? If you wanted to find out more about Robin, are there any particular platforms that you're on, like LinkedIn, etc.?
I'm on LinkedIn a lot. I've given up on that one that shall not be named, largely. I think we all know what we're talking about. I am on Facebook, but you just got to be there sometimes. Well, it's really you kind of have to be there because you have an account and stuff, and like there are cool Facebook groups. Like there's all kinds of like women playing VR games together and getting it. Like, it's so amazing. I've met all kinds of people from all over the world just hanging out, playing mini golf, just doing cool things. XR Women, you can show up there, catch me there. I frequently doing something, doing announcements, hanging out. There's all kinds of great ways to catch me. And I do have a robinmulder.com, and there's 3poundgames.com, and we have 3poundxr.com. That's where you can find out about the core systems and libraries that we use to make all this cool stuff, and how it is that you could sign up and try out some of that work and see, if you've ever dreamed about getting in game development and you're like, I want to do cool things, I don't know where to start. So first, go learn a little Unity and then come download our stuff. Because you need to know a little bit of something to get into it. But we give you those big building blocks. The next step, but you do the meta building blocks, what do you do next? It's us. And I want to get more and more people into this beta and see what they can do with it, and see if we can populate the world with more apps that are super cool and far out there, with people that are subject matter experts, and maybe they just don't know how to do this gaming stuff.
Yeah.
But they know how to do their thing really well. And that will be a magical place, because now we'll have content creators working in this space, probably in mixed reality, because that is the most likely space where we're going to have massive adoption. The second there's any headset, any pair of glasses that's lightweight, it's all over. We're all wearing them all the time, and we're using them constantly for little education pieces, little entertainment pieces, all kinds of contextual ways that you can use mixed reality. And it's going to be a whole different world with no televisions, no screens anywhere. Oh, it's so cool.
It
Live
would
to see
be
it.
so cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Robin. Very cool. All the stuff that y'all are working on. I love how cutting edge everything is. And yeah, we're just super happy to have you. And
Yeah, thank you so much.
see what's happening at Gamescom with this co-location.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thanks for bringing that up. The reason I'm going to Gamescom is because I am going with Wiggy, the Women in Gaming, as a mentee sponsored by Amazon AWS Gaming.
Wow.
Super, super cool. So thrilled to be part of this program. There's going to be all kinds of amazing meetings and opportunities to meet people. So it's like this. I almost feel like I'm like pulling all of the groups together too. Like Women in Gaming,
awesome.
XR Women, and I know those WIT people too. Wow, let's pull them all together.
That's so. Wait, is there going to be like a wiki event? Like, I mean, is there going to be an XR women's event like at Gamescom? I mean, tell us all the events so we could go to all of them.
Yeah, we should coordinate on that, because I have a list of events that I haven't even looked through. I know of a couple. We're really busy. It's so hard for people to understand what the life that we live is. It's first thing you do is you launch out of bed because you're like, I got to go. I got to move. I got to get some coffee in me, tea in me, whatever caffeine it is, it has to happen. And then right away, you're on a call. Right away, you're like in a headset. You're doing something. You're pulling up in Unity. You're like writing an SOW. You're all over the place all day long. And then these events come up. And then somehow you have to get all that work done before the event.
Yes. God, I'm glad you said that. Yeah, this week has been awful. But I mean, because of Gamescom, which is a great thing, but then you have to pack like an extra, weeks plus worth of work. Plus, you're going to be tired when you come back. So maybe you can get some stuff done for after Gamescom, knowing you'll be tired. Like it's the worst, but the best. I don't know. It's a thing.
Deadlines get stuff done. There's no doubt about that. And that forced attention, it really, I do that too. I even try, you're right, I try to get even more done just in case, in case the trip gets extended or I'm just exhausted or something like that. But of course, that's not actually what happens. You get back and there's all kinds of new opportunities because you just met all these new people. You're like, oh, now I got to follow up with all them. So it's just this constant thing. But it's energizing. It's exciting. Like we're literally building the future of technology. It's the most important thing that anybody could be doing is this space, because it will change the world. And it's just a matter of time.
I agree completely. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, really appreciate it.
Awesome, guys. You guys hang in there. You just need a little, but we're going to make it. And when we get to Gamescom, we're going to chill. We're like, have some fun.
You're
This
ready
is
to give
actually
her
why
goosebumps.
we have so much fun at these conferences, is because it feels like a vacation. Because you're like,
Yeah.
nobody's bothering me because I'm at a conference. You're like, let's
Yeah.
go.
Not in front of a computer.
Yeah.
Right,
Don't ask me
right,
for anything.
right.
Ah,
So yeah, so we'll definitely get together and have some schnitzels or whatever the locals do.
but
Chocolate.
Yeah. Yeah. For
oh
sure.
yeah. I
All right.
appreciate
Well,
it so much. I gotta
Thank
go back into
you.
Rocket once the updates come out.
Yeah, very cool. All right, guys, I'll talk to you very soon. Yay!
thanks.
Thanks
See
for
you
having
soon.
me.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye. But we're still here.
We
Podcast
are
isn't
still
over.
here.
You're
We
stuck with
are
us.
still here. Well, that was awesome. Oh my gosh, I really love, like, really, if y'all haven't looked at Grocket and just look up Grocket Mixed Reality, it is so freaking cool looking, so intuitive. And yeah, definitely just try it out. I feel like it's such a great intro to VR
And
type of
mixed
app.
reality. Yeah. Like
Yeah,
that.
very great for beginners, but like still really fun, even if you're not a beginner in VR.
Yeah, it's not Grok, I think, was also one of the few that experimented with mixed reality when it became a thing. And so now to see
Mhm.
them be able to develop on top of that is super cool. And they're always like, if there's a top 10 mixed reality recommended games list or whatever, like they're,
Mhm.
I don't know about for other people, but they're always on mine.
Yeah, for sure. So, Adam, the VR gaming showcase or VR games showcase today, what did you think?
What's that? No, I'm just kidding. Never heard of it. Let me bring up, there was a lot of fun stuff. Sorry, Restream's changed like everything, so getting used to this. There was a lot, at least, I don't know. I will say, I'm not going to talk about every single thing on the list. I don't know
We don't
if
have
you are,
time.
but
Yeah.
out of all of my highlights, I want to say Hitman 3, of course.
Mm,
But, and I know a lot of people were talking crap about the graphics in Quest 3, but it looked cell shaded to me. And so as long as they're
mm.
doing
Like
like an
intentional.
intentional,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like, it's like
like
the art
so
style, not like, because they couldn't do any
just
better.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that I was fine with. I know a lot of people were like, "Yeah, it looks like a Quest game." I was like, "No, but it's like I understand why they went with that style because
Mhm.
it's easier on the performance." But anyway, looking forward to that one. That's kind of obvious. Um, Arizona Sunshine, I was a little mixed about. I think that was I kind of wanted maybe DLC for 2, but it's when I know that zombies are kind of overdone, but I liked them in Arizona Sunshine because it's desert and it's different. But I will be sad
Mhm.
that we're not going to be seeing Buddy in a remake of Arizona Sunshine. I think besides I can always scroll down. I gotta find the 4 wonderful trailers for Flat2VR, but I think those were some of my, let's say, normal for VR highlights. Band Space, which was another one. There's a demo out that I have not tried that I've been meaning to try. Rhythm games, that's always my jam.
Mhm.
So those were some of my favorites, but I don't know if I'm silly for liking this one. I don't know. Did you want to talk about the Flat2VR announcements first, or do you want me to kind of go to my favorite pick out of those?
Oh, well, let's see. Well, I'll talk about one of the games that I was really excited for that's not Flat to VR first. I
Yeah.
thought Escaping Wonderland looked so good. I actually love Alice in Wonderland in general, like that story, the movies, all of the stuff. Like it's so wacky and weird. And I'm really excited for how it looked. It looked out of this world, which is really cool.
Yeah, I never played the first one. I mean, I don't know if you really need to play this one, but I do like that. It's gonna sound mean for me saying this, but it wasn't a shooter.
Mhm.
it was very shootery heavy in the showcase,
It
which is
was
fine.
so shootery heavy for sure, which is
But
surprising.
yeah, I mean, I know there's something for everyone, and I'm not like, I'm not gonna complain too hard, but I was like, maybe there'll be something else more for me in another one. But they still look like good quality shooters at
Mhm,
least. Like
yeah.
overall, I
Oh,
think that.
Grim was the other one that I was really
Oh yeah,
excited
yeah.
about. Grim looked really good.
I get Grim and Silent North confused. So Grim is
Pretty sure that's the one with the planets.
So Silent North is the more DayZ one, and Grim is the more Rusty one. I keep comparing them to like other games that I know isn't fair.
Well,
But
I mean, I think that's what Combat Waffle wants. So
yeah,
because
yeah.
they're definitely modeled after those games.
I am kind of interested in maybe Silent North a little bit more than Grim, only because I like the PvEVP aspect. Like maybe that'll get me into PvP more, as long as there's also the zombies to also shoot, and kind of maybe like a 7 days to die sort of a style thing. But we'll see. I don't know. That I believe both. I mean, I know Combat Waffle Studio is going to be at Gamescom, and so my assumption is that these are the games that we'll probably get to try. So we'll see.
I just have to say it's crazy. Like, so the Home of XR that's happening at Gamescom really brought absolutely everybody to Gamescom. Like, it seems like like I feel like this is gonna be the biggest like meetup for VR, like possibly, yeah, like for a long time. It's crazy. Everyone's like flying from the US. Like it's just like we're all going on a pilgrimage to Germany to celebrate XR, which is going to be insane. But yeah. So speaking of oh my gosh, Adam, I've hardly gotten any sleep. It's just been so intense. Like the fact that I'm even here for this podcast. We made another month where we made it, Adam. We made it to our own podcast.
I was going to ask if it's easier now that the announcements have come out, but that's really just sort of the start of everything.
Let's see. Is it easier? Well, okay. So first, maybe I'll just share like the titles that we announced with Flat2VR Studios. Like, you know, for a while, there's been so much speculation about which titles we'll come out with. Actually, on Reddit, everyone was like convinced. PSVR Reddit was convinced that we were doing Neon White. And so Elliot, just like a couple of hours before the showcase, wanted to like, you know, mess with the community a little bit. And he was like, spoiler alert, it's not Neon White, everybody. Like, you know. But I do think that most people expected us just to have one title. And I've seen like, you know, several like message threads where people were messaging and they were like, there's more. And like, that is exactly the reaction we wanted. We wanted to make sure that we went so hard on this. So we announced Trombone Champ Unflattened. That's actually going to be our first title that we'll release in the fall of this year. And we announced Wrath, Aeon of Ruin. Team Beef is working on that one. And we have RoboQuest. Kabbalistic is on RoboQuest. And if everyone knows, he did Half-Life 2. The VR port. And we also have Flat Out that's in the mix, which has gotten, oh my gosh. So like IGN posted Trombone Champ and Flat Out trailers to their YouTube channel, and the Flat Out one, at least when I checked last, had 17,000 views already.
Nice.
Like it was, I mean, you know, it was hard. I mean, I love all these titles, so it was hard for me to know which one would get the most like, but yeah, it's been pretty good reception. I feel like all games, because there's such different genres, have gotten a good amount of like interest.
I feel like this is also maybe better because you see, you know, like a new Batman game comes out, people are like, why is it in VR? But it's like you already got Flat Out for Flat, like, so shut up. There's no complaints now about like it's the same game but for VR.
Yeah,
like, so I think that makes it a little easier, at least when going through the comments. You don't have to weed through as much like, why is this for VR? You already got your turn. Like,
and it's so funny too. Like some of these games, like people in VR have just not played or haven't heard about it, and they're like, oh my gosh, I just looked up the game. They're like, wait, this looks really fun. I actually might play the flat version now too. While I wait, and it's just like it's so good.
I will say I was leaning more a little bit towards Trombone Champ. I know it sounds silly. Yay. I did try the mod. I played the Rise mod. I don't even know when it came out, and so I was super excited to see like, oh yeah, this is fully immersive, because when I played it, it was just, you know, like the flat, just the window floating in blackness. So like, this is gonna be super fun. I'm so happy that and it's like it's unflattened. That's that's
Thank you. I've been scraping the internet trying to find someone who appreciated our humor. It was and like Holy Bow Studios who made the original Trombone Champ. Um we had come up with a couple of different name ideas for this VR version. Like originally we were like, oh, maybe it can be like Trombone Champ VR, but then because of how much we've changed to this game, like this is not a direct port. Like you look at this, it's not a direct port. It is a complete remake of the entire game. We were, honestly, we thought that this would be a lot easier because like, oh, it's just like a nice, simple rhythm game. It'd be so easy to port, like great first one to do. As we kept doing them, as we kept working on this, we were like, oh my gosh, this is actually so difficult. This is probably the most difficult game we'll ever make because we had to redo everything.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't remember. I mean, I think I played. Well, I had to have the flat version, obviously, to play the mod. But I was like, a lot of this stuff I don't remember. And you like, obviously, there's no floating 3D menus and HUDs in the like, flat. So I'm like, this is completely. I'm like, this looks like they just completely remade it for VR. I was really impressed. I'm like, this is nothing like the mod. Anyone who says it's like the mod is nuts. Like, I don't know.
It's been crazy. But yeah, so we had like all these different names that we were trying to pick. But like obviously all the VR people in that conversation were like, but we really like Unflattened. Like, okay, it's a play on words, Unflat to VR. It is a very popular like term, I guess. Like, the flat term that the VR space uses. And I was just like, I hope they could learn to love this unflattened one. And also it is you have flat notes in music. So it is also like a musical analogy. And we were just like, ugh, and I cannot believe I have not, but I get it. There's been so much announced today, like so many games announced today, not just from our studio, but like across the board with all these like amazing publishers. So I'm sure that the last thing people are thinking about is like, how funny the name is.
Well, there's even the other one that I was interested in coming from you guys was Flat Out, because I'm not a racing person, but I do like destruction. So I'm like, okay, this could be something that I might be able to get into, because it's not just like racing on a track, trying to go. Yeah. I mean, you want to go as fast as possible, but there's like other things, and I need those other things for a racing game to be interesting to me. So I was like, ooh, this one and Trombone Champ, maybe Trombone Champ still higher than Flat Out, but I would be willing to give this one a shot for sure.
With Flat Out, like I obviously have been playing the flat version of it. I'm like, it's a flat version of Flat. Oh my gosh, the conversation today too, like the team today was like, can we call the VR version of Flat Out Unflattened? We were just like,
that might be a bit much.
Oh my gosh, my team.
Maybe it should have been VR out, 3D out, Flat Out 3D. Flat. I don't know how you would do. Yeah, that's a weird one.
I don't know. But yeah, so with that one, so I've been playing the flat version a lot, and I remember I was telling Eric, I was like, I don't play racing games. I'm so bad at them. It's just I'm like, even Mario Kart. Like I think Mario Kart's fun, but it's just hard for me. It's just I'm not good at like racing games. He did coach me a little bit. He like backseat was like, okay, well maybe you should slow down on the turns. Have you ever thought about that? And he's just like, maybe you shouldn't be like driving straight into like the wall, maybe. So I did get better. But I think the thing I loved about Flat Out is there is like it is about destruction for sure. You're just like, and then like you see your little character like fly out in the flat version. If you like, it's so, and then like the music is like, it's like this intense like rock music, and you're just like, yeah, it's so hype.
See, that I can get behind. And actually, I'm pretty sure I got them all right. But for all 4 of the titles, I think it said they're all going to be on Quest, Steam, and PSVR 2. Or am I incorrect?
That is correct. Yep, we
Jesus
are
Christ.
Putting everything to every platform possible. Yeah, like because our mission really is to like bring the best of VR to everybody in VR, right? So we want to make sure that everyone sees everything.
It sounds hard though. I mean, I don't know how to develop.
Why do you think it sounds hard? We're exhausted. We're so tired, but it's okay. We're doing it out of passion, and we're like the reception today. It was it was so overwhelming. I like almost couldn't process how overwhelming it was. Yeah.
I'm going to ask you actually the same question that I asked Robin. Like, how big is the Flat2VR team now? I guess maybe if you like developers and modders specifically.
Yeah, probably. I mean, but like so some are full time, some are contractors, some are part time. It really depends. But we're around 15 on the. I mean, we're working on 4 games. Like,
yeah, that seems very small for and 3 platforms for each game.
There's a lot of crossover between like the people on the teams. Like the UI UX person crosses over across all of them. The game design person crosses over. The art person crosses over. So a lot of people are working on multiple games at the same time. We're all tired.
Are you all on crack? I don't know how you're like. I thought you were crazy busy, but it sounds like kind of everybody is just firing on all cylinders 24/7 most of the time. Like, are you all okay?
Yeah.
Over there, yeah.
It's so funny.
Wow.
But yeah, it's been really good. I mean, I'm glad, I guess I'm proud to say that we haven't had to do any like crunch or anything. I think that's like a term in the gaming space. And like people like we never like have any mandatory work on the weekends or anything like that. So I think just really good planning, like so good because you know what happens, right? When you have a project, any project that you ever work on, like at first you're like, oh, la di da di da, and then all of a sudden as you get closer to the deadline, you're just like, oh crap, and then everyone's like last minute doing everything. No, we like very like solid timelines. It's like we need, if you guys want to have a nice balanced like development process, then we have to get this done this week. There's no, if you push it, like it just means that everything's gonna get crazy towards
accumulating.
The end, so.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah.
So I know Trombone Champ, that one's coming out first this year, right? Remind me.
End of this year.
Yeah. And then the other ones are like 2025 and plus, I think, if I remember off the top of my head.
I mean, yeah, sure. Let's say that. I mean, I haven't.
Is that like more? Is that more towards the plus side? I'm guessing, like
more towards the 2025 part. But I don't want to like commit to any specific dates because
of course,
can't. Yeah. But yeah, in general, our goal. I mean, the whole like concept behind Flat2VR Studios is that we can port your games to VR like faster because we've just been doing it for over 5 years. Our developers are so skilled. And we can do it fast and get your game to VR like ASAP and do it really well too, just because literally everyone in our company is obsessed with VR. So like it's not a problem of like, oh, are we doing the right thing or something? It's a problem of everyone has too many effing ideas about what to do. We're just like, oh my gosh, we don't have infinite budget and time to do all this, but we just love VR so much that we're also excited to just do a lot.
I feel like you guys are the right people for the right job. I mean, because a lot of like the developers now were modders, so they're already kind of invested and interested and excited in this sort of a thing versus if it's giving a bunch of developers who only done flat, like, here, do this in VR because we said so, and they're like, oh, okay, I guess. And then you can tell in those games when it wasn't people who necessarily really cared about doing this kind of a conversion, and it's like everything's kind of half-assed and sad.
I guess it's interesting because like we have all been in the industry for so long. We all know like so many people in the community, and everyone's like people's like different passions and everything. So a lot of the people that we've brought into the company have been people that, to be frank, like just don't have any professional experience whatsoever in the thing we're hiring them for. But we've seen their mods, we've seen like how involved they are in the community. We see their passion. Like a lot of people have channels as well, or like they do a lot of stuff in the VR space, and it's just like we just got to bring on the people that just like this is it. Like they love what they do, because if you love what you do, it shows in the output of your work. And like I think Trombone Champ, a prime example, like we have so many custom trombones, which you can kind of see in that trombone store, and that did not exist in the base game in that context.
Yeah, like, you couldn't decorate. Like I noticed the spray painting part. I don't remember being able to. I mean, obviously you couldn't spray paint, but I don't think you could really customize them in the flat game that I remember.
You just had like some skins and some colors that you could do, but it was quite basic. But for ours, like there was one like in the trailer, there's like a fish trombone, and it was modeled for the singing bass. And so when you play, like the sound comes out of the fish mouth and it looks like it's swimming. And I
Oh my
mean,
god.
I don't want to get into it, but like, because I just don't want to give too much away, but like I don't know, like that whole trombone situation was fueled out of pure passion. Everyone was just like throwing out the craziest ideas for trombones. Like, I'll name one, I guess, that I think is a little bit easier to or safer to say. But we have like a plunger trombone. But
Yeah.
we went all out on just like being so ridiculous because we were just like, why not? Like, why don't we do something just like let's just have fun? Like, I mean, yes, we're working really hard, but also like we want
It's also
to
a silly
make
game.
we want to make games
Yeah.
that are fun. So, and yeah, if your whole company is a bunch of VR gamers and you're making a VR game, all of a sudden everyone's just like, oh my gosh, we should do this and we should do that and we should do this. And we're just like, well, and I'm also a VR gamer. So I am like producing all of our titles currently, which has been exhausting. I'm currently interviewing producer because it's impossible for me to do. But
Yeah, good.
I feel like if I was not as into like VR and gaming as I am, it would be so much easier to say things to be like, no, that's just not within the scope and the budget and like all that stuff. But sometimes I say cool things. I'm like, oh, but the VR gamer in me really wants that. And I'm just like, okay, fine. Like, yes,
I want that. Yeah, other people will want that.
selfishly, because I know the kind of games I like to play. I want that. Yeah, and something you didn't see too in the announcements. Because those were like, generic trailers for all platforms, but we will actually have mixed reality for Trombone Champ.
I saw that, I think, in the Impact's press release. Yeah, that's cool.
And like, okay, how much should I say? Okay, fine. I'll say a tiny bit. I'll say a tiny bit just because like the mixed reality for this game is so good. Like we really were like, we just don't want it to feel like half-assed or like that we like an afterthought. Like we wanted to make sure that it really like could stand alone on its own. And interestingly, because of how we built the VR version, we had to change a lot for the mixed reality version.
Oh man.
But yeah, and then we were just like, oh my gosh, are we too ambitious? I think we are too ambitious, but it's okay. We just want to make a really, really good game. So yeah. So hopefully like we'll be able to reveal how all that looks in the next couple of months before the launch.
So you guys are also going to be at Gamescom. Does that mean these games are going to be these conversions are going to be demoable at Gamescom too, or?
We will have Trombone Champ primarily as a demo. Yeah, it's it's so even that trailer is like the stuff in there is already outdated to what we have now. But because we're not even at the QA ready build yet with meta process. Like we're not even at the QA process yet. So we are still actively developing the game. But we needed to make a trailer for the showcase, and we're just like, oh my gosh, okay, let's make a trailer.
It was a great trailer though. I think it sold it really well. You could tell that it was like I thought it was really well done. I enjoyed it.
Thank you. Yeah, and actually I should say Wonderbar VR made the trailer, and he is just someone that like studied film but is now a program manager for his job. And he was like, I think a couple months ago, he was like, man, I really want to make trailers and have some fun. So I think he did
reach out to us.
Trailer. He did a trailer for Team Beef, and it was really good. And so we were looking for someone to make a trailer, and and then he made all of our trailers, and they're fantastic.
If he wants to go full time with trailer making, I mean, Live Productions is always like, we were just 2 dudes at first. Now we've got 4 because it was like 2 guys can't make a year's worth of trailers forever. They need vacations and a life. So we're still looking to actively hire more.
Full on the trailer making now.
Well, yeah, full on, and that like Live Productions is definitely a functional wing of Live, but it's like growing too fast where it's like we're done for 2024. Like we can't accept any more trailers. So 2025 and on, then we'll start accepting more.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. So that, and we're going to be hopefully trying to branch out to other studios who would also like to make trailers using Live's technology, like licensing that out so they could also do that. So it's just helping out and outsourcing, hiring more people wherever we can, because we are growing. As you know, everyone needs trailers and everyone wants good trailers.
And making VR
Ideally-
trailers is an art form. It is not just something that some person can randomly do. So
Yeah, especially Quest native games. You don't want that like just shaky
Yeah, yeah.
headset footage.
all right, Eric is like eyeing, like dogging me. His podcast has to start soon, and
Start my podcast, man. It's my turn.
I am getting kicked off, I believe. His podcast starts soon for anyone that wants to watch Q2C VR Gamer.
Go to Q2C next.
For another hour.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. I don't know when our next episode will be. I mean, I would love to do one after Gamescom to recap and stuff, but it's just a little bit crazy and busy. So yeah, so I think this is our last episode for probably a couple months, and then we'll let you know when we resume for the next one.
Yep. Otherwise, follow us individually. We're still fun, on our own socials and stuff. VR with Jasmine, Adam Bobbody, etc., etc. We try our best.
I mean, what can you do? Full-time working ladies in the VR space,
In VR,
and also trying to do content creation and podcasts, and it's just. But we love the VR industry, so we do this all out of love.
Eat, sleep, breathe VR.
Yeah, eat, sleep, breathe VR. That's so good. All right, thank you all.
Yeah, bye guys.
See you next time. And make sure to go to flat2vrstudios.com. That's it. Okay, thanks.